Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and we have a really great show today and really important interview, actually. There are millions of people who are unable to participate in the high-impact exercise programs that are so prevalent in the market today. And even if someone could participate in some of today's popular programs, it doesn't necessarily mean that they should, due to the immediate and long-term effects that strenuous exercise can have on the body. The Freedom to Move home exercise program and video series was designed by a doctor of physical therapy to allow for everyone's participation and physical betterment, whether you are a serious athlete, live with a chronic health condition, or are unable to move at all without assistance. Viewers of the Freedom to Move video series are not only presented with a customized workout, but they also learn about the targeted muscles and how strengthening and conditioning those muscles can lead to improved health and function. The new Freedom to Move home exercise video program series is designed to liberate people from misconceptions about healthy living and exercise, empower them to keep moving, and help them to feel good about doing so. The program utilizes principles of physical therapy and exercise and sports science to allow for anyone's participation and physical betterment. Again, whether they are a serious athlete or living with a chronic health condition, like I know a lot of our listeners on here might be coping with, or again, maybe perhaps you're unable to move without any assistance at all. And I'm actually speaking with Matt Hansen, Dr. Matthew Hansen, D. Hansen. He is the owner of Soma Health, and Matt is a practicing doctor of physical therapy, and he is the creator of the Freedom to Move home exercise program and DVD series. And so I'm going to welcome Matt into the studio here. Let me just get your mic going. Matt, thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful and blessed to have you on this call today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Edie. How are you?
Oh, good. I'm great. Thank you. And I just, first of all, like I was kind of saying in the introduction, I happen to know a lot of people that do actually have a chronic condition, so and are unable to do traditional exercise. So I'm wondering if you can tell us. Well, I'd like to know a number of things, but how did this all come about, and how can this help someone who's, say, coping with a chronic condition and but really wants to exercise, and even for like we were mentioning in the introduction, even people who maybe can't move at all, or even people who are athletes can benefit from your new video series.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you. And I'll start just by giving you a little bit of background, kind of the story, how Freedom to Move came to be.
Okay.
As you mentioned in the introduction, I am a physical therapist, practicing physical therapist. I also write for several different magazines, medical magazines, or other publications. And on an occasion, approximately about a year and a half ago, I had written an article about exercise and how to adapt exercise really for anybody's participation. In our society, so many people feel that if they're not participating in a half marathon, or if they're not bench pressing their body weight, or whatever it may be, that they're really not exercising, and it's a misconception. It really is a misconception, and so I'd written this article about how we can adapt exercises really to anybody's ability, and it had received a lot of positive review. And the publisher wanted to schedule a meet the author phone call where I could answer some of the questions that had come in from readers. And during the phone call, one of the readers brought up a question that I wasn't really able to answer, and she asked, she said, "Matt, are you able to recommend a home exercise program or a video program for somebody who can't participate in the high intensity type programs that are out there, and we've all seen them. They've been around for years, and there are new ones, and they're great. For a certain population, the programs are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Although I do have to mention that even for somebody who can't participate in those programs, some of the activities, if they're done for too long or done improperly, they can cause all kinds of problems. And a number of physical therapists, if there are any listening, they've probably treated some of those problems. But she said, I can't do any of the exercises even at the most basic level on some of those programs, but I'm looking for something. I'm looking for a video program that can help to motivate me. So I told her I really wasn't aware of anything, but I took the challenge. I said, I want to try to help you with this. Let me see if I can find anything. So I took the next week, and I just really did a massive search trying to find a program that fit this listener's needs. And I found a couple different programs that are out there. For example, there's a sitter-size program that, again, for a certain population is fantastic. It's a lady sitting in a chair and doing arm circles and reaching for the sky and things, but it's kind of the opposite extreme of some of the P90X and Insanity videos and everything. It was the opposite extreme. I thought there's got to be a balance. So I came back to her and said, unfortunately, I can't find anything that really meets your needs. But I customized some exercises for her. I spent some more time on the phone and customized some exercises for her, and she surprised me with the challenge to create a program. So, I loved the idea. It sat there for a little bit. My family and I were in the middle of a move, and once we got settled again, I had more and more patients and friends who have come up to me with similar requests, and I thought, now's the time. We need to do this. So that's kind of the background on it.
As far as the program, it's like a calling almost. Go ahead.
It is.
I was just going to say, it's almost like a calling.
It is, and I've really felt that it kind of has been. Having the education and everything that I've been blessed with, and then the practical experience, I thought, this is something that can be applied to more than just one person at a time. And I love that about therapy because it is one-on-one. However, there's always that goal, I think, for many of us to try to reach or to make our influence felt, for good in the world on a larger scale. And this is one of the ways that I can do that.
So great. That's so great. And then, if you'd like to tell us about the program itself, just really quickly on your website here. Your website is Freedom to Move, and that's 2 as in the number 2. So www.freedom, then the number 2, move.org. So that's the website.
Yes.
And it's the home exercise program and video series that's customized to you. So go ahead if you'd like to tell us about the program and the video series.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So the reason what makes really the program unique, I say is based on two things primarily. One, its adaptability, and two, the educational component. I feel that so many of us, we start exercise programs and then we stop them. There's a reason why health clubs, fitness centers, they have all these membership sales and everything at the beginning of the year because everybody has these New Year resolutions to start a new exercise program, and the gyms are full in January. Become February, they're empty.
They're empty.
So,
I see it every
and
year.
part of that, not completely empty, but there are certainly not as many people as there were in January. Part of that is motivation, and I feel that a big part of motivation is understanding the reason why we're doing exercises. How can an exercise help? And we're guilty of this ourselves as physical therapists, my profession. Too many times we assign or we prescribe exercises, and then we don't explain to the person how it's going to help us, how it's going to help them, what it means to their day-to-day activity. So one of the things about the Freedom to Move program, exactly. And one of the things I want to make sure that it did was explained the benefits. So there's actually 3 components to the video. There's what we call an introduction. And the introduction kind of goes through some of the principles. Each of the programs or the videos is based on principles of exercise and sports science. So that kind of explains that. And I'll come back to that in just a moment as I explain the program itself. The second section is the classroom. And in the classroom, we visualize. So we use illustrations, anatomical illustrations, or 3D models to show people what the exercise is for each activity that's being targeted, or what the muscle is for each activity. So, for example, a straight leg raise is an easy exercise for people to kind of visualize. So if you're lying on your back and just lifting your leg up into the air, it's referred to as a straight leg raise. We talk about what the muscle is that's being targeted. It's a group of muscles actually called the hip flexors. So we show pictures of which of the hip flexors themselves. The iliopsoas muscle or muscle group is one of them. So we label that. We don't get too in depth about it, but we want people to see the muscle that's actually being exercised. And then we talk about what it does. What do we need hip flexion for? Hip flexion is a motion used to climb stairs or to lift the leg up onto a step or to step over something on the floor. If you're a soccer player, it's the motion that's used to kick forward. So by people understanding, one, what the muscle is, and two, what it does, then it sets the base for us to then teach the exercises.
Okay.
So the fundamentals kind of explains the exercises themselves, or what the concept of the program is. And so the first two videos, in particular, Freedom to Move, are based on positioning. So the difficulty of an exercise can be adapted based on the position that you perform it in. So if you think about the effect that gravity has on somebody, all right, gravity is a resistance that's always around us. I mean, it keeps us from flying off, but it keeps us from being able to slam dunk a basketball as well. And we don't really realize, I know, we don't really realize the effect that it's having on us, but it's huge. So in the program itself, we have 3 different positions. There's a gravity-resisted position, which is the most difficult, a gravity-reduced position, and a gravity-eliminated position. So the gravity-resisted position, when we're talking about a straight leg raise, you think about lifting your leg. If you're laying on your back and lifting your leg straight up in the air, think of 2 arrows. The first arrow is gravity's arrow, and it's always pointing straight down. So gravity is always going to point straight down. The second arrow is the direction that your leg is being moved. So in the case of when you're laying on your back and lifting it straight up, that arrow is going to be straight up.
Okay.
So because the 2 arrows are in direct opposition to each other, it's more difficult to perform the exercise or a straight leg raise while laying on your back than it would be in a different position, because gravity is working right against your leg as you're lifting it. Now you can make, the reason why we say it's adaptable to anybody, you can, some of the listeners may say, well, it's not difficult to lift my leg up in the air. And it may not be that difficult. But you can make that exercise as difficult as you want by adding additional external resistance. So you can add an ankle weight, you can add resistive band, etc., and to make that more difficult, to strengthen the muscle more. And to make it easier, though.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And I see this in your video on your website, freedomtomove.org. I see the example video of people in 3 different positions to demonstrate the leg lift. So go ahead.
Yes, exactly, and that's why we just kind of use the simplest exercise we could really think of to kind of demonstrate the concept with the leg lift. And so right on our homepage, we have a little introductory video that we'll be updating soon, because we're about ready to release our second video, and we'll be updating it, but it'll be kind of the same thing, teaching some of the concepts and the highlights of the video itself. So if a listener were to go there to our website at freedomtomove.org, they'd see a little introduction or a little introductory video clip there. And before you hit play, you're right, it has like a still photo of people performing the exercise in different positions. So the gravity-resisted position is represented by somebody wearing yellow. Gravity-reduced then, so if we want to make that exercise easier, we need to change our position. So the exercise model in the net, she's in purple, and she's demonstrating the gravity reduced. So she's doing it by standing. She's holding onto a chair back, and she's standing and doing the same motion. It's the exact same motion that the gravity-resisted model is performing, but it's in a different position. So imagine those arrows again. So now we still have gravity. So the gravity's arrow is always straight down, but now the direction that the leg is being lifted isn't straight up. It's more on an angle.
Very interesting.
And
it almost reminds me of ballet. Easier to perform. So if someone has, let's say, less range of motion, or they don't have as much muscle strength, or maybe their hip flexor isn't as flexible, would it be something along those lines that they could do the modified version?
It would, and in fact, we have a stretching we have a stretching segment, and then it's followed by the workout segment, so the strengthening segment. The gravity eliminated position then is the easiest position, and it's actually we demonstrate it in two different ways. We demonstrate on one side of the body gravity eliminated. So in the case of a straight leg raise, someone would have to lay on their side. So when you're laying on your side, again, the arrow's straight down, but now the direction of your leg is perpendicular to gravity. So we've eliminated the direct effects of gravity on the leg. And then for some people, they're not able to even lift their leg on their own. So we switch. When we switch to the left side, then rather than doing the gravity eliminated position, we demonstrate an assisted position. So a helper comes in, and they demonstrate how somebody at home could help, a family member, a friend, could help to perform that exercise with assistance. So that's
wonderful.
That's what the misconception.
Okay, go ahead.
Misconception about exercise really is that, people think, hey, I have to be doing all this on my own. I have to be lifting so much weight, et cetera. And we teach what the exercise parameters are. How many times should you be able to lift your leg if your goal is to strengthen the muscles? Some people, will go 30, 40 times. But if they're trying to build muscle or strength, then they need to do really ideally between 8 and 12 times to be able to perform the exercise with good form between 8 and 12 times. If they're able to do it much more than that, they need to add some more resistance. If they can't do it probably at least 8 times, then maybe they need to try one of the easier positions. And positions may vary from day to day. Somebody with muscular sclerosis, with MS, for example, they may have a flare-up. And one day they may have been able to do something in one position, and then the next day, or when they have a flare-up, they're like, I can't do anything. I'm not, or there are a number of conditions that are like that, and then they just go inactive, and they find that later it's even more difficult to get started.
Even harder to get back.
Exactly.
So
you
can do it in gradations instead. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We need to, learn to listen to our bodies. Our body knows better than anything. What's right and what's wrong for it. The problem is we don't listen. We have pain signals for a reason. The body gives us pain signals because it's telling us, look, you're hurting me, you're injuring me in some way. And then, everybody believes in the motto, but what about no pain, no gain? And that's not our motto, because the pain's there for a reason. We need to listen. And if pain persists, then we need to take it back a notch. But that's where our motto comes in: keep on moving. Because the secret is to keep on moving and to celebrate what we can do. Everybody can do things in varying capabilities. We need to celebrate what we're able to do. I've worked with people who have had different neuromuscular conditions, and they're to the point where they're not really independent with anything. But you know what? They've learned to celebrate what they can do. Maybe it's with head movement, and we've found ways that, just by using a head, you can do all kinds of different stuff. There's one young man we're working with now that he's become an artist because we've been able to set up adaptive technology, and he moves just with head movement. He can't move any other part of his body, but, he's celebrating that part of his life.
Oh, that's so great, and I really hope that this gives people hope, and also, like you were saying, it educates people that, how critical movement is, but also not feeling like you, whatever your situation is in life, that you don't have to be left out of how critical movement is. Like, you can participate in it, and gain the benefits of it, and do it on your own terms. So that's what I hear you saying, and that's what I see your contribution being. And then Matt, did you cover all 3 parts, or are we still, was there?
Of the original questions?
Yeah.
So you wanted me to cover kind of the
question.
background of the story itself, the program, the program, and then I apologize, the part 3.
Oh, no, that's okay.
We were
kind of talking about, well, just you, you had mentioned that there were 3 parts to your program.
The 3 parts of the video itself, yes. I'm sorry.
The video itself.
So the workout session itself. So there's the fundamental section, which goes over those fundamentals of gravity and positioning. And then there's the classroom, which visualizes the muscles themselves and then teaches the viewer what they're used for. So somebody may say, I have a hard time getting up out of a chair. Well, we explain why. What muscles are used to help to get you up out of a chair, or if somebody's balance is poor, or if somebody even wants to enhance performance and they are a competitive athlete, and they think, I want to be able to jump higher. what is the muscle that needs to be targeted, and the types of activities that can be adapted. So our hope is that it's an educational program as well, because no matter how good a video is, if you watch that thing 5, 10, 12 times, it gets redundant. It can get somewhat boring. My hope is that people, after they've watched it, even 4 or 5 times, that they don't need to watch that instruction part any longer. They get it. And that then they use the video itself just as motivation. There's an option where you can play just straight through the exercises without any of my commentary. And then eventually, and it's good, it's a motivator, you can follow along, etc. But eventually take those concepts and start adapting exercises and activities for themselves. And even teaching those types of concepts to other people.
Oh, I love that. That it can be like an evolutionary process. And again, like keeping people motivated, and because moving is so critical that, for so many reasons, not only to keep your lymph system healthy, but also to build muscle mass, and it keeps you healthy. So we always need to find another way to be creative about it and stay motivated no matter what our situation is. So thank you so much for making these. And so Matt, I want to mention your website again, and then where can people find your video series, and anything else that you would like to mention? We have about 10 minutes. I just wanted to let you know where we are. Actually, I'm sorry, more like 8 minutes. So did you want to let people know more about your website, where they can buy it, and things like that? Sure. Certainly.
So again, our website is www.freedom2move.org, and there is a store tab. So on our store there, we do have the first volume is available. The second one is available for pre-sale right now. So the first one concentrates on the lower part of the body, so the legs, the knees, the hips, the buttocks. The second video will be shoulders and arms, and we've already filmed it. It's in post-production, and it's due for release during Thanksgiving week. So it's available for pre-sale now. We also have on the store a number of healthy living, healthy cookbooks. We have exercise bands and different exercise equipment that may be used as supplements. There's so many things that can be used at home, though, and these are all kind of economical options that somebody may have, but use what you have at home. It's fine to buy some dumbbells, but if you're if you're lifting a 2-pound dumbbell, you can find something at home that you can lift and save yourself $15.
It's true. You can lift just about everything.
That's true. An iron, just don't drop it. Gallon of milk.
I find myself lifting my yoga mat.
There you go. Yeah, so there are a number of different things that can be adapted at home, but we have exercise-resistant bands, scales, heart rate monitors. So those types of things as well are part of the store. Another thing I'd like to point out, 2 other features about the website itself. We do have a Share Your Story feature, and we're going to be changing that a little bit. We're going to have a testimonial campaign, but we're encouraging people, to try the program. And it's kind of funny because, I'll work with competitive athletes as well. And they will have heard about this from somebody else, and like, hey, I heard you do this exercise program. We're going to do something like, full speed or full throttle, something more intense. I said, try it. Just try this program. Because they see it, and some of the stuff seems somewhat, it's more. It's not. Well, I don't want to say basic because it's not, but it's not some of the stuff that we're used to seeing with the high speed and with the exercise instructor grunting at you and saying 5 more, give me 5 more, and yelling at you to keep it up. You're in control. You're in control of this, and that's why we don't say, okay, we're going to do 10 repetitions, in 3 sets. We're not defining it. We're teaching people how to know when they've done enough and where they should be, approximately how many repetitions they should be doing, and how to recognize if they're doing enough and if they're not. And then we're leaving it up to the person. So it's a lot different. But when they do that, every single time I have them coming back to and say, I felt like I got a great workout. I felt into my muscles. I felt this. And so we're encouraging people to share that testimonial. We're going to be putting that up within the next couple of days. But there is a place even now to share your story. And on the webpage, and we encourage people to do that. So if you go there, underneath the homepage tab, there's a link that says specific health conditions, our story, so it tells a little bit about our company, and then share your story. And that's somewhere somebody can submit a testimonial or just share their story. And then we also have
Okay.
a blog. And on the blog, there's a really neat story right now about a young lady was one of the exercise models on our second video. And her name's Becca, and she had an auto pedestrian accident when she was just 18 months old. A car backed over her and left her paralyzed from the waist down. But her story, and there's a video there titled "What I Believe" on the blog as well, and it's very inspirational. So we're going to be highlighting the different exercise models in the weeks that come up. And we'd like to do the same of some of the customers and some of the people that have tried Freedom to Move. So after we're done highlighting some of the exercise models, we want to tell your story. Everybody has a story, and they have some way that they can inspire somebody else. We just need to share it, and sometimes we're too afraid to do it. But by doing that, we're holding back. We have something good that we can share with the world, and so it's important. We need to share our stories.
It is important. It is therapeutic, and also, yes, like you said, you can help someone. You never know who you're going to help. So that alone is worth it. And then, so that again is on your homepage. You go down to the drop-down menu, and it's the third option, share your story. And then I'm actually here on your homepage as well, and just briefly just talks about some of the people that you work with who have the following conditions like arthritis, back pain, diabetes, neuromuscular disease, including muscular dystrophy, am I saying that correctly? Dystrophy and MS, spinal cord injury, autoimmune disorders, post-stroke CVA, traumatic brain injury, Parkinson's disease, obesity, joint replacements, including knee, hip, and shoulder, cardiovascular disease, pulmonary conditions like COPD and asthma, cancer, osteoporosis, amputations, and neuropathies. So really, that's a lot of people that you can help.
Seems kind of overwhelming, doesn't it? But the point, the point is that we all have something.
I'm excited. Well, we
all
do.
None of us escapes this earth unscathed, and we all have something. But the point is, and that's really my message, is that we need to celebrate what we can do, and don't feel like you're alone, because we all have challenges. I can certainly not perform the way that I used to be able to. I grew up, in competitive athletics, and even for somebody who's typically or generally healthy, as I've been blessed to be still at this point in my life, there's a lot of things I couldn't do before. And a lot of people go through midlife crises thinking, I can't slam a basketball any longer. I can't do this or that. It can be discouraging, but we need to focus on the positive, whatever it is that we can do. And we're not alone. We're not alone. It may be that other people in our family or close friends don't share in the same challenges, but they have their own. And we need to be a support to each other and just keep moving.
Absolutely, and I know there's a quote by Rachel Friedman. She was paralyzed after she jumped into the pool, and she said that focus on what you can do and not what you can't do. So I know that's very similar to what you were saying.
I love
focus on the positive. Isn't that a great quote? Well, I thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate you being here. And again, your website, for anyone that wants to go to it, is freedom2move.org, like you were saying. And I can't thank you enough for being here. And
you're welcome, Edie.
It's a pleasure
thank you.
to know you. And you're welcome back anytime for when you have your new releases. And absolutely. And I know I'll be speaking to you sooner than later in other capacities here. So.
Excellent. And feel free in the future, Edie, as well. I know that we're going to have some promotions in those other capacities, so feel free to share that information with your listeners.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's just a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much for doing what you're doing and for helping people. And I really encourage people to. I know that you'll get a lot of listeners from this, and so I hope a lot of people go to your website and get your video series, and I know that people will be helped, and I will definitely share this on all of my channels as well.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for being here, Matt.
Keep in contact, everybody. We love to answer questions, too, and we have a great staff that can help us answer specific questions, or like us on Facebook.
Wonderful.
So you can follow those blog posts we put up about the inspirational stories.
Absolutely. And remember to go on also to the website and share your story. So freedom2move.org. Thanks so much, Matt, and I will talk to you
welcome.
in
Thank
a bit.
you.
Take care.
Sounds good. Have a great evening.
Thanks, you
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. You've been listening to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio, everyone. I hope you also have a great evening or morning wherever you are in the world. And I will talk to you soon. Come back again and listen to more great episodes on Blog Talk Radio. You've been listening to The Wellness Coach. Take care.